On today's episode, Tesla's Fremont factory gears up to support Cybertruck production, and maybe something bigger, Scotland is using Powerwall and solar systems to help low-income families, and SpaceX is expanding their Starlink ground stations as their network grows. Tesla has filed for expansions to their factory in Fremont, California, just in time to support the start of Cybertruck production this summer, and these planned changes could point to Tesla's intent for the future of the facility. The filings made on April 21st show that Tesla is looking to make changes in several areas of the plant. The biggest is for a tool installation, along with the addition of new electrical receptacles on the factory's first floor. But the company is also asking for the permits to move equipment from the second floor where the plant has its battery manufacturing stations. This is a pretty big deal in the Fremont location. Tesla originally purchased the site from a GM Toyota project, and it was already almost at peak capacity at that time. Tesla has since expanded with outbuildings, large tents that were originally intended on being temporary but have become more of a permanent feature. And the building itself is located in an area that makes it extremely hard to consider expansion, so adding another production line and shuffling equipment around the second floor has to mean that something big is taking priority at Fremont. Let's start with the tool installation. This is likely a new vehicle production line or an expansion of an existing one, as the first floor is where the vehicle assembly lines are kept at Fremont. This could be for a number of vehicles, but the timing suggests that this is likely an attempt to increase Cybertruck production efficiency until the lines at Giga Texas are up and running. We already know that Fremont is home to the most functional Cybertruck manufacturing area at the moment. 2 weeks ago, the company proudly showed off the line to investors during their shareholders meeting on April 19th. But this also makes sense for the equipment shuffle on the second floor. Fremont does a lot of its battery production on the second floor, and filings from late August last year show that Tesla has been making the Cybertruck's battery packs there. It would make a lot of sense to expand that area in the Fremont plant to help make the production ramp-up of the Cybertruck as smooth as possible. This is a very big year for new Tesla construction and shakeups at established facilities. Gigafactories in Nevada, Texas, and Berlin are all going through expansions on their facilities. The mega factory in Lathrop, California was recently finished and is ramping up production of the company's Megapack energy storage systems, while Tesla prepares to break ground on a second Megapack facility in Shanghai, and the Investor Day event in March confirmed a new Gigafactory is going to break ground in Mexico by next year at the earliest. Combine all of that work with the plans for the future development that Tesla's presenters have revealed, and there could be another thing these filings at Fremont could be pointing to. And stay with us here because we are going to connect some dots. Fremont has production lines for the Model S, Model X, Model 3, Model Y, and of course the prototype Cybertruck, but at 511,000 square meters of floor space, it is dwarfed by Tesla's Austin, Texas factory and its 929,000 square meters. And Fremont doesn't have Austin's 8 square kilometers of total land to expand into. Despite this, however, Fremont continues to be an important facility for Tesla, as evidenced by the factory being picked to run the first production line for the beta Cybertruck test models. There was certainly more space at Giga Texas, and it's possible that the company could have committed to making the beta production lines there instead. But Giga Texas is going through a lot of construction of its own, and while Fremont doesn't have a lot of space, it doesn't need to make an entire fully operational assembly area. So it makes a lot of sense to use this facility to accommodate a smaller version of the Texas Cybertruck lines and use it as a test bed for potential changes to other facilities at the same time. Back at the Investor Day event on March 1st, Tesla's presenters showcased a lot of new ideas for construction methods, new vehicle platforms, and more efficient factory layouts. It's hard to look at that and not make the connection between these filings at Fremont and the company's new goals for improved efficiency. And the production of Cybertruck seems to have been fairly smooth, likely because the company was able to build their prototype production line at an established facility with veteran employees. Given that the company is gearing up for a whole new method of organization and production, including a brand new vehicle design and refreshes of their older models, Fremont would make an ideal place to run lower-scale production, At the very least, the site can handle producing the battery packs used in the Cybertruck and other models. If utilized well, the lessons learned at this factory could be of great use in new locations like Giga Mexico, as well as expanding sites like Giga Texas. A new initiative in Glasgow, Scotland is aiming to use Tesla's Powerwall energy storage devices along with solar power installations to ease the burden on low-income families. The pilot project headed by Glasgow's Town Council is constructing 150 2- and 3-bedroom homes for their social rent program, an initiative which helps provide affordable homes for poorer families. While housing projects like this aren't new, the rising average temperatures in Northern Europe have led to skyrocketing energy bills as unprepared countries are hit with the effects of climate change. Subsidized rent certainly helps, but the local government only helps with the rent, not the bills, and many low-income families are simply unable to keep up with runaway energy costs. And so, the council has partnered with Arctech, a company that is certified to install Tesla Powerwalls. The intent is to provide 19 of the 150 homes with a Powerwall, an EV connection point, and a solar array. The hope is that this one-year trial will prove to the Scottish government that providing solar energy and storage systems to families is a more cost-effective way to ease the strain on their energy grid. And there's good precedence for this. Around this time last year, Tesla expanded its virtual power plant system to Powerwall users in Australia's Southern Territory. The system, which shared its stored power between users and the local power grid in emergencies, was a huge success. The system was further proved in California when a massive heat wave was handled by a local VPP system, and Powerwall users who had opted in received $2 per kilowatt hour given back to the grid, helping their neighbors keep the lights and air conditioning on. It's very likely that these examples are what caught the eye of the Glasgow Council. Even without a VPP in their new subsidized neighborhood, these solar and Powerwall systems will give a certain amount of freedom to the people living there to be able to survive inside of their means. But if it works well enough to get approval for all of the 150 homes, that plus a virtual power plant will not only help many low-income families, but it will provide a way for this community to support their neighbors as well. Tesla was very loud about their pledge to help the world kick fossil fuels during their Investors' Day event in March, and nowhere can this be seen better than initiatives like this. Tesla may need wealthier investors to support the development for their new tech, but changing the world means helping our disadvantaged neighbors. CEO Elon Musk himself said that storage solutions like the Powerwall are a viable way to get humanity free of fossil fuels, saying, quote, "There is a clear path to sustainable energy on Earth. It doesn't require destroying natural habitats. It doesn't require us to be austere. Sustainable movements are made from the bottom up, so good luck, Glasgow." SpaceX has grown their Starlink network to the point that they are now requesting the U.S. Federal Communications Commission to give them a blanket license to build the ground stations they need to help deploy their broadband network to even more users. Starlink connects users with a massive constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit, but the satellites can't handle all of that bandwidth alone, and so they use Earthbound gateway stations to help communication with the orbiting parts of the network. According to the new filing, a gateway station can have up to 40 identical 1.85-meter antennas. This array lets a station communicate with up to 8 Gen 1 and up to 32 Gen 2 satellites at the same time. This is due to the new V2 satellites having more advanced antennas that provide roughly 4 times more capacity than the older V1 and V1.5 satellites. With a blanket license to build these gateway stations, SpaceX wouldn't need to ask permission from the FCC every time they needed to expand their ground-bound infrastructure to match the pace of their satellite network, and they're going to need it. In December of 2022, the FCC granted SpaceX permission to launch up to 7,500 new Gen 2 satellites, but that was only a small amount of what SpaceX had asked for. The original filing requested permission to launch almost 30,000 new satellites into low Earth orbit, but this past year has shown an FCC that is much more conscious about the growing problem of space debris, and they decided to defer their full decision until SpaceX proves the Gen 2 Starlinks weren't going to just cause more problems. But aside from a few D-orbits, the Gen 2 mini satellites that SpaceX has launched so far have worked well. And the company has continued to grow their network with Ka-band technology, a communications frequency that Starlink satellites began using in 2019 with their Gen 1 units, which allows for potentially greater bandwidth. Currently, there are about 2,700 Starlink satellites in orbit, a mix of all generations of the hardware, all operating together. So, as more satellites are launched, SpaceX is going to need more ground stations to help direct all that traffic. The company is undoubtedly hoping for a quick approval here, and they might just get one. The FCC might be cautious with extra space traffic right now, but it's much harder to cause dangerous debris with a stationary ground facility.
Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up today if you liked it. That is so important for getting our content out to more people. If you enjoy the content, then you'd probably also enjoy our weekly newsletter, so sign up with the link down below at theteslaspace.com. A huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who are listed on the screen now. You help us make the best content we can, and we really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.